Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Sethum and welcome back to another video. This is a announcement video just to let you guys know that I'm currently working on the Conan Exiles server. This, what you are seeing me on right now, yes, this was my single player game. I have managed to move the files over to the server. I did try to go with the Exile lands. For some odd reason, that really wasn't working too well, so I will open up an Exile Lands server eventually if people are interested in that. But this was the game saved files that I could transfer over to the new server that I set up. That seemed to work. I did want to have at least one of these maps that I can still play on from where I left off in the single player. Now, how is this going to work? This will be a thing that will be opened up to Patreon members, and it's not necessarily pay to play type of scenarios, just rather a reward for those that do decide to support me on Patreon. Now, of course, with Patreon, what you need to know if you do decide to support me and the channel that way is that you will get access to the server. There will be several tiers, and the way it's going to work out is something like this. So on the first tier, the person that does decide to support me on Patreon will have access to a server of their choosing. So that could be the Ark server or the Conan Exile server. They get to choose a server. I'll give them the details. They can then go and play on it. On the second tier, I will give access to 2 servers, and on the third tier you'll get access to all 3 servers. Currently speaking, the servers are 10 players only. However, if there are multiple people above the 10 player limit, I will then of course increase the limit of people allowed on the server. Also, with this to know is that of course you will only get access, or I will only allow access to the server once the payment has been processed and gone through. And not just that, but your name will appear at the end of the video as a supporting member. Now of course, if someone goes for the third tier, I will also probably most likely put that person's name at the beginning of the video as a special sponsor. That is the idea, or as a special supporter. That is the idea I'm going for. I will have to update my Patreon page for that to reflect this. Also, as I am talking about these details, I'm just going through the server details so you guys can see exactly what to expect. There will be somewhat similar to the official servers, just obviously private servers with private access to it. And the other things that I wanted to point out and mention is that I will be looking at doing events for these servers, as well as along with the fact that I will not reset these servers. But if it does take off and there are a lot of people interested, I might potentially, might being the keyword right there, open up a free-to-play server. In that case, I would probably reset it regularly, just because people will be in and out, and it will just become overpopulated with buildings and stuff, probably leaving other players with no area to build. But that is at some point in the future. This is going to be, as I said, a form of reward and thank you for those that do decide to support me and the channel through Patreon. I do realize that we are going through tough times, and anybody that does decide to do that will of course have access to this. And another note to point out is that both of the Conan Exile servers as well as the Ark server will be PvE, and they will be more of a role-playing type of server. I'm not a big fan of PvP, to be fairly honest. I'm not a big fan of people trolling other people. That's just something I never fell for. And that tends to happen a lot on the PvP server, so I don't want that to be a thing. And so for that reason, I've decided to go with the PvE stroke role-playing type of server. But occasionally, just for fun and giggles, there might be PvP events here and there, depending on what people fancy. I do realize that I opened up with the less common server that has been requested. However, I will be also looking at setting up a Exile Lands server in the next couple of weeks. It just might take a bit of time. As I said, this was the one that seemed to work with the saved files. I couldn't really get the Exile Lands one to work very well. Well, not at all, so it wasn't loading in the saved files. And with all that being said and done, that is pretty much it from me. Until next time, stay safe, folks.